So what we're going to do now is go through a few images, and really what I want is to help you get not only just hearing me, but get a real visual picture of what we're trying to forgive, what it is we're breaking free from, how we store things, and how we get stuck in the past. Because I think if you can see this here, that it's really going to help you master the 5 steps. It's going to help you, bring it into every fiber of who you are, so that it's not like a head process that you're thinking about, but it becomes part of you. It's a visceral sort of woven into the fabric of who you are. And this is an important part. This is a foundational part. So for you to get it all, I'm not going to try and make a scientist out of you here, but I want to show you some pictures of how the brain works, and we're going to keep it really simple. So first I'm going to just show you who the players are, okay? So this is your brain and your spinal cord. This is a happy brain. So the reason that I show you this is because the brain and the spinal cord, they modulate all the functions of your body. So everything that's happening in your physical body is a direct response from information coming from the brain. And I'm, overgeneralizing that, I understand, but for the most part, that is true. So I want to take this brain, and we're going to delineate. I draw a line here, and we're going to separate them into conscious and subconscious. And I want to talk about what those mean and kind of define them for you. The conscious just means awareness. So this is the part of your brain or your frontal cortex or your frontal lobe, your prefrontal cortex. This is your awareness. So this is the part of your brain where you know your name. You know that, you want to have tacos for lunch. You know that, you want to take a nap. This is where you feel excited, or you feel very frustrated, or you feel really depressed. These are all areas of your brain that are working around your awareness. So things that are subconscious are really sub-awareness, or below your awareness. So when we talk about subconscious, it's not a Freud thing. It's not your ego id. I always tell patients, we're not going to sit on a couch and talk about your feelings. I just want you to understand that your subconscious brain is what runs your body. Okay, you don't think about digesting lunch. You don't think about your kidneys filtering blood. You don't think about your hair and fingernails growing. It just happens under the guidance of something. So I'm going to show you where that pilot is that is sort of driving the bus. So I'm going to open up a doorway here between the conscious and subconscious brain. And what happens is in our awareness, or in our present time environment, information comes in. This happens through the 5 senses. We process it, and then we send a message down into the subconscious where the pilot lives. So I'm going to pull the pilot up right here. And the pilot then sort of delegates what happens. But in a perfect world, this is all done from present time information. Okay, this is the 5 senses. We see it, touch it, taste it, smell it, hear it. It's about information coming in from my environment so that I can have an appropriate response not only in my physical body, but in my energetic body as well. So these are the players here, and I'm going to show you how this is supposed to work, okay? In the perfect world, this is how the information comes in and how the process works. So we're going to go through the animation again here. So let's say, number 1, something comes into my awareness. Let's say I see something and it's a bear. So I look across the road and I see a bear. So in that moment, I don't know what to do until I run back here to my memory bank. So number 2 in the picture here is it's almost like a card catalog, at the library, if you remember those. We run to the card catalog or to the memory bank, and we look for our file that's called bear. So again, I see it, but I don't know what to do until I run back and I look up the file for bear. And when I find the file, I go, oh, this is bad. Like, this bear he's gonna eat me. So a message comes from the conscious mind down to the pilot. So follow me in number 3 to this arrow. And the message to the pilot goes something like this. It goes, pilot, we've used the 5 senses to analyze the environment. We saw a bear. We looked up the file on bear, and this is bad. It's gonna eat us. So we need you to change what the body is doing so that we can run away. And this is what we call fight or flight. We can fight, we can stay and fight the bear, or we can run. So let's say we run in this example. Well, it requires a lot of functions in our physical body to change. Our blood pressure has to go up, and our heart rate has to go up, and our pupils dilate so we can see where we're running, among hundreds of reactions that happen instantly, just like at the snap of a finger. Your adrenaline starts pumping, your cortisol runs through your blood sugar increases. So I'm not going to go into all of that, but I just want you to see that in this moment, the pilot says, okay, I got the message. I'm going to get to work. Pilot now says to the body, all right, troops, listen up. We've got a message from headquarters, and we need to get out of here. So what we do is what I call a stress response. We launch into this fight or flight stress physiology. All the chemicals, all of the tension in our body, and all of the tension and stress in our mind is just firing at 100%. So this is a good thing. If there's a bear coming, I want my body to behave like this. I want to be able to get out of there. I'm sure you've heard of superhuman feats of strength where like a mom can pick up a car because her baby is trapped under it. Just out of nowhere, boom, the system operates like you're seeing right here in this picture, and we're capable of doing things extraordinary. So let's say in our analogy with the bear that we run away. Whew, we're safe, we got away. The bear is gone. So now what happens is our body changes, and it moves over to the other branch of it's technically our autonomic nervous system, but you don't have to know that. You just need to understand that there are 2 branches. One is a stress mode and one is a healing mode. They're technically parasympathetic and sympathetic branches of the autonomic system, but I just want you to understand that there is a stress mode and that there is a healing mode. So when we run away from the bear and we now are in a safe environment, we feel safety, we begin to breathe deeper with the belly and the diaphragm instead of shallow up here in the chest and the shoulders. The blood pressure goes down, digestion begins, and this is where we heal. This is where we repair. And a lot of this happens at night when we're asleep. It's what's supposed to happen when we're asleep. So in this picture right here, I want you to understand that the way it's supposed to work is we run away from the bear, and when the threat is gone, we transition back into this healing mode. Now, you would think that you want to live in this healing mode, right? This is where you're supposed to stay, The problem is that we don't live in a world that promotes this. I'm supposed to just jump over into stress response when I have a problem, but that's not the world that you live in. You and I don't live there. We live in this fast-paced, get it done, instant gratification, everything right now. It's on my smartphone. I'm bombarded from all angles all the time with these stress-inducing signals. So it ends up not working the way it's supposed to, and we end up getting stuck. So I'm going to show you in this analogy here how we get stuck in this stress mode. And I'm going to tell you this story just real quick. I call it my Bill's bear, and you're going to chuckle. Just like the way your physical body would react and respond to a threat from a bear. If there's a bear coming to eat me, I had this experience happen to me one day just going to get the mail. And here's what happened. I walk up to the mailbox, open it up, I pull it out. It's full of bills. Okay, there are 4 bills in the mailbox. And at the time, I only have enough money to pay for 3. So I don't have enough money. And immediately what happens is my brain short circuits and it shifts into that stress mode. So right there, while I'm holding pieces of paper, my body is beginning to react like I'm being attacked by a bear. And you know what I'm talking about. You've had these experiences. If you've ever been in traffic and somebody does something, and it's bad, and that's why there's a saying, road rage. It's because people, this is an easy place for them to just have that short circuit, that short fuse, and boom, they're off to the races in this aggressive attack fighting type of stress mode. So what happened to me was I'm looking at the bills and I know that I don't have enough money for all of them. So I'll even say first what I could have done was say, wow, this is great. I have enough money for 3 of these bills and I'm going to call the 4th, the company, and I'm going to tell them that I'm working on it and that things are going great. And next month I'll actually have the money on time. I'll set up a payment plan and life is awesome. I'm so blessed and so excited. See, I could have done that and I could have stayed in a healing mode, but I didn't do that. And most of us, not only do we know, we know to do that, right? But we don't do it. And it's it's our programming. It's because of not only the stimulus around us in our world, but it's because of these past experiences that have us just reacting to life without even thinking, just like a knee-jerk thing. We just, boom, we go right into it. And so that's what happened. When I looked at these bills, I went, oh my goodness, I don't have enough for the electric bill. They're going to shut off my power. I won't be able to recharge my beard trimmer, and I'm going to look shaggy, and I'm going to get fired from my job. And if I get fired, I won't be able to pay the rent, and I'll lose the house, and I'll lose the car, and now I live under a bridge, and I'm dead. It sounds really dramatic, but that's the way your mind goes. In like 1 millisecond, you go from, I can't pay this bill, to I live under a bridge and I'm going to die. And it's funny. I know that you do it too, because you're human. And I've worked with enough people to know that we all do this. It's in our wiring. And the reason that I'm sharing this story about my bills bear with you is because we all have bears. We all have our own bills bears. Okay. And they come at us from all directions all the time. So sometimes it's your bills, or it's something else. It's work. Sometimes it's, the neighbor. Sometimes it's a money bear. Here comes a money bear to stress you out. Oh, I don't have the finances. I can't pay the bills. I want, nicer things, and I just don't have the money. The family is a big one too. You gotta love them, but sometimes they can really test test you. I'll just say that. But you know what I mean. That it is it's a stressor from the environment that creates a response in your body, just like the bills bear did. And they come from everywhere. Sometimes it's your health and it's pain that you're going through. Sometimes it's relationships, and then sometimes it's a really big thing. So these are, I'll call them little things. I mean, not to diminish them, but sometimes it's a big deal. Sometimes it's like you're in a relationship with somebody and you think it's going this way, and all of a sudden it goes that way, and you're like, whoa, where did that come from? I'm completely floored. I did not see that coming, and you're not ready for it, and it's a big, big deal for you. Or something like the loss of a loved one. They go home and you're not ready for it. And there's a lot of emotion. It's a big deal for you. So here's what happens. If you look at the picture here, all of these things are sort of coming in all the time, and the pilot is like, I don't know who to listen to. There's just too many messages. So guess what? I'm closing the door and I'm not listening to any of you. You're all shut off. And the door slams shut. Now, this is, if you don't get any of this at all, get this right now, okay? When that door is slammed shut, nothing from your present time environment can get through to the subconscious. The subconscious is on lockdown. It's saying, I don't want to hear it. There's just too many things going on in the environment. I am cutting you off. And we literally stop our ability to process from present time information. We lose our ability to function the way we were supposed to. Remember, I showed you that first, how it's supposed to work, and we get stuck doing this. The pilot runs a constant stress response from memory. It can't get the information from present time, so it pulls it from memory, and it takes whatever experience that you were having at the time that was, maybe it was a big deal like we talked about in a very intense thing, but most likely it was just a ton of little things that just kept piling up and piling up on you until you hit your threshold, until you finally short-circuited. And this is what happens when like some little thing happens and people snap. Like we don't put wooden spoons in the dishwasher, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's a huge deal and it's a big fight. And it just comes out of nowhere over some little thing, okay? What I'm saying is when the door slams shut and we short circuit, the pilot now is going to run our body and run our life from information stored in memory that is going to create a stress response. And it's going to happen all the time. It's going to be 24/7. It sounds very simple, and that's because it is. This is a real simple concept. And what we're going to dive into in the 5 steps of forgiveness is how we open that doorway back up and how we reframe and reprogram even our mind so that the memory of those past experiences and those events is one that serves us, one that helps us stay in a function of healing and allows us to expand and reach our potential. The only way you're going to create your dream life is when you're functioning out of this healing place, when you are in a vibration of love and joy and bliss and abundance, not closed down, not shut off, not stressed out, not in defense and protection. It's when we are open. It's when our arms open and we are vulnerable and we expose our heart that we're able to step into the creation of what it is that we see our life becoming. This picture right here is the root cause of every single patient I see in my office. They are emotionally shut down, short-circuited, and their body is on lockdown. Kind of like you would imagine in a prison. If they sound the alarms and someone escaped, they're going to just lock everything down so that nothing can move at all. We're going into stress mode. So if you can see this right here, then you're getting it. And you're gonna really excel here in our next section, because as we step into forgiveness, I want you to think back to this picture, and I want you to think about the steps that you're going through are about you opening that trap door and shifting yourself into a healing and loving vibration. Because you see, this is exactly what happened to me when I was 17 and that football coach grabbed me and drug me in the hallway and slammed me in the lockers. I was reading a book and I was somewhere else. I got bushwhacked. He jerked me out of that world that I was in inside of my book, drugged me out in the hall, and totally short-circuited me. So what ended up happening for me was every time I would think about that day or that coach, all of the old emotions would come back. Anytime I would have a memory of that, I would play the tape, and the pilot would throw my body into the stress response. It's as simple as that. I would play the tape. You know the saying, they really push my buttons? It's what it means. It's that they know how to push play on your tapes and get you to act it out. Family is really good. They know just how to push your buttons. But what I'm saying here is that I, in that moment, shut down and I was stuck there. So I can look back on that now and realize and understand what was happening. But in the moment, I didn't get it. If I had known what I know now, I would have been able to handle that differently. I would have been able to process that and store it in my memory bank in a different way than I did. So that now, or I shouldn't say now, but so that I was able to think of it and feel good. That's really the point that I want you to understand. Because for years, I did not feel good about it. I thought of it and I was angry. And it wasn't even like I didn't have to think of the coach in that day. I could drive by a school and it would like trigger the memory. I could see somebody, when wearing athletic clothes and they kind of reminded me of the coach. And I would go right back to it and it would play out. And I knew that it was not only affecting my body, impacting my health, but it was trashing my vibration. The idea of being in a mindfulness state of hating someone and being angry and wanting revenge and wanting to get even is not conducive with me expanding, with me growing and being in a state of love and being able to create guided by my intention versus create being guided by all of the things that I don't want in my life. And this gets even better here because what we're about to dive into is the 5-step formula to forgiveness. I want to take a second right here just to clarify when I'm talking about memory and things that have been stored in our subconscious, have been stored in our emotional memory, that have been stored in a way that they can be triggered and we can sort of act out and play out the tape, the same way people push our buttons. This is what I call a set point. So it's SET, subconscious emotional trigger, or set points. And these set points are the keys that sort of drive, that start the engine for us. Okay, so we are full of these set points. We've been establishing them our entire life. So basically, I'm saying there's a ton of past set points that we've created, and in the process that we're about to dive into here, we're going to talk about how you clean up some of the old set points. But I want to emphasize for you here how powerful and how important, how vital it is for you to begin building new set points that are positive and that reinforce the things that you're striving to attain, the stuff that you want to achieve. I know from personal experience that people want to run right to the, how do I clean up and clear up my signal and get rid of the old set points, and they want to go into fixing mode and fix, which is okay, and it's an important step. But what I'm telling you is that if you can begin to focus on the other side of the coin and how you're going to build new set points, new powerful, reinforcing, high vibrational set points, then you get to this point to where the scale tips. And, you might have more negative ones than positive ones right now. But as you build more positive and more positive and more positive, it gets to a point where it's like a landslide. And the positive work that you've done begins to be the healing therapeutic effort that you're looking for. So when I show you the picture of the brain here, and now we get into the 5 steps, I need you to understand that it's about giving you that extra oomph and bumping you up so that you begin broadcasting a different vibration.